Disclaimer while we wait for everyone to get here. I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Any major changes you make to your diet or any other aspect of your lifestyle is something you should check with a doctor with before enacting in your own life. Furthermore, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is a recommendation for an investment. I'm also a law-abiding citizen. Nothing I say is an admission of guilt. Lastly, but not leastly, all opinions are my own and are in no way, shape, or form a reflection of YouTube, Google, or any other network you may be viewing this on in the future. All that being said, I'm going to go ahead and chill for a moment, see if anyone shows up, give YouTube a moment to do its thing, see if we can adjust my angle of operation here to be less shadowy. What's up, May? Thanks for being our first chatter. Essence Wellbeing, thank you for being our second chatter. How are you guys doing? Symbiotic Sim, good to see you. I'm glad that you've become a regular here. And Virgil Charles, what's up? How's Costa Rica life? Thank you for asking, Jeff. I had the best day today. Honestly, I've been kind of, I've been kind of like, I don't know. You know, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it. But I also kind of wasn't doing much. I don't love the super hot, humid, tropical weather. I think my body's just not really built for it. But today I left the house, and I hadn't been doing that much lately, to be honest. I've been kind of a homebody, so that's probably a big part of the reason why I wasn't 100% vibing immediately. Today I left, and I was like, you know what? There's 3 roads in the center of town here, or, you know, there's a crossroads, right? There's one that I live on, there's one that I came in on, there's one that I explored previously, and there was the Uncharted road that I'd never been down. So naturally, I came to the crossroads today, and I said, I'm just gonna go straight and see what happens, right? So we went straight, and we ended up at this beach. And initially, that's what we were looking for. We were thinking we were going to go to the beach. I'm on like a peninsula, so I knew that no matter which direction I went, that I was eventually going to get to a beach. I had faith in that, right? And so we went. We found a beautiful beach. We're like, okay, this is awesome. Let's go find some parking. So we went. We parked on the side of the road, and we went to go walk and go find a beach spot. Well, as we're walking to go find the beach spot, we seen a sign that said waterfall this way, right? Like, waterfall? Yeah, it had all these warnings. It was like, you know, bring a guide if you can get one. I forgot what else, but one of the warnings was wear hiking shoes, so on and so forth. So naturally, I took my shoes off. And I started trekking down this trail barefooted. And which is, I don't know if you guys know this, but I am a barefoot hiker. That's what I like to do. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Something I've been doing for a few years now. And the more rocky and treacherous the terrain, the more I like it, right? Because it's kind of like a meditation for me. Like when there's lots of rocks and stuff, like rather than trying to go around in between rocks, I like to just like zone in and like kind of skip from rock to rock to rock and like get into a flow and just kind of like, you know, get my goat on, right? And so went on this little hike. Rather than taking the trail, I just went like directly up the creek bed, right? And it was just like rocks the whole way, and I was just skipping my way along. You know, I had Sam and a consort with me, and um, anyways, long story short, ended up at the most beautiful waterfall. It was not only a beautiful waterfall, but it was like a super deep lagoon at the base of the waterfall. Like, I almost couldn't even reach the bottom, it was so deep. So had a nice swim, shot some footage of different various sorts and stuff along the trail on the way, and kind of, I didn't really go on any good hikes in Florida, nor do they have mountains or anything like that really there. Um, and then also got to top it off at like a tide pool, which is also one of my favorite oceanic features. So all in all, um, it was an absolutely beautiful day, and um, I feel like it definitely set my vibe straight on the decision um, to move here. That being said, I am still looking forward to relocating to the mountains here in a couple weeks. Um, as much as I do like the beach, and that there is some good hiking features even down here in the lowlands, um, I'm quite excited about getting into some more temperate weather and and whatnot. I also, um, for the naysayers and whatnot, um, with their jokes aside, I found some nice vines and things, and I got to take some good took advantage of some Tarzan photo ops. I got to swing from some vines and things. It was quite a good day all in all. Now, this light that I have in my eyes is kind of like making it really hard for me to read the chat, so you guys will have to bear with me here. I was running late on getting on here, and I was having trouble getting this light to dim, so I'm getting a little bit blinded right now, but let's see. But yeah, that's, I guess I answered um, in advance, Essence's comment of how is Sam. Oh wait, and Sam is doing well too. He's getting used to it. He liked the hike too. I forced him to go for a little swim today too, so it was pretty cool. Essence says, you look more vibrant and your eyes are super bright. Well, thank you so much. I feel quite a bit more vibrant as well. Um, let's see. Um, Buck Bolkster is bringing up a topic that I am very, very familiar with. Bucky Bolkster says, I'm on day 2 of quitting weed. Not sleeping, not eating constantly, sweating. Help me, please, with advice. Okay. What is my advice for this? Okay, so it's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you. It's fucking difficult. If you can isolate yourself, do so as much as possible. I think above all the like physical effects that are pretty much unavoidable that it's going to have on you, the mental effects can be the most damaging in the long run, because at least in my experience, I find that when I quit smoking weed, I tend to be a little bit heavy on the temper and a little bit short, and I find that it can be somewhat damaging to my interpersonal relationships, in fact, very much so. And remember that you can always choose to say something, but you can never choose to unsay something. Once something is said and it's been heard, it's out there, and regardless of no matter how many apologies or how much you recant the statement, this, that, and the other, you can never truly take it back. It's always going to be a situation. If you do want expedite the process and in the same time maybe dull the negative influences or the negative effects as well, I would suggest going into like a state of ketosis, like cut all the sugar, all the carbs, right? Because the THC is going to like be really built up if you were a long time smoker in your fat tissues. So if you switch into like a state of ketosis where your body starts burning fat really heavily, it'll lower the symptoms because you'll actually start releasing THC at a higher rate back into your body. And it'll also clear it out of your body faster for you to be able to regulate. And if you want to take it to the next step, you can do like a full-blown fast. And that will, especially if you can do a dry fast or something, which maybe not recommended if you're not like an experienced faster. Remember, I'm not a medical professional. But that can definitely help reset your like dopamine receptors and so on and so forth, all your receptors really. And you can kind of regulate. Now, if you hold on to this for a good solid month or so, I don't think you'll have any regrets about what you're doing. I think right about the time that the morning wood comes back really strong, you'll be going, this is a great decision, you know. So keep in mind that you're doing the right thing. It is hard now. It's not a short-term process. You spent years getting yourself addicted. You can spend a month getting yourself unaddicted. So I'm proud of you. And remember, the worst is already behind you. Even though it still sucks, the first day and the second day are the absolute worst. No of the other days are going to be as bad as these first 2 days. So you're doing good. You're doing good. Let's see. Let's see. Landy Martin says, hi, my name is Landon. I'm trying to surprise my girlfriend with a small gift. If you could possibly give her a quick shout out and say, what's up, Piper? It would mean a lot to us. What's up, Piper? I don't know if it's your birthday or what, or if you just have a boyfriend that really cares about you, but I hope this finds you well, and congratulations in either case. Rachel Keeler says, I'm on day 7 of quitting crack, which may or may not be a real situation. If you are on day 7 of quitting crack, I commend you. Sadly, I can't offer you any advice on quitting smoking crack. I've never smoked crack myself, but I would imagine, being a water-based substance, that by day 7 you should be feeling quite a bit better, and I hope that you can keep it up and yeah, continue not being a crackhead. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and hide her permanently. Nope, can't do that. All right, so looks like we've made it to the live feed. We've got our trolls have arrived. Always welcome. Thank you guys for the comments. It really helps our algorithm and helps us get out there and find people that actually benefit from this type of thing. Bucky Bolkster says, I just subscribed to you. That was great advice. Yes, the worst is now behind me. I will go exercise at the gym tonight in hopes of helping me finally get some sleep. That's a great idea. Do that. And a little, you know what, it's not going to hurt to drink a little chamomile tea or some valerian root tea or something light as well, um, if you can find some like real chamomile, like where it's like the actual flowers, and buy it in bulk and like make it super strong, like it will knock you out for sure. Let's see. And thank you for the subscribe. You guys, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications, because I am thinking about starting like a more random schedule, or maybe increasing the amount of streams with like some shorter streams during the week. But I'm not going to advertise them ahead of time really, so you'll need to have notifications on to probably catch those, unless you're spending all day on your phone, which I really hope you're not, because that's like the worst thing you could possibly fucking do with your life. And then the other thing is, right now it seems like we're doing well of keeping up with the chat, but during this thing, and also in the future, remember, there is super chats, and you can skip the line if I start getting behind in the chat by using that feature. I'll always answer the super chats first, no matter where I am in the conversation. Oh, no, I don't think you're a troll at all, Chocolate Milk Lover. Let me go ahead and read your thing. I just got off track here for a second. Chocolate Milk Lover says, what made you quit performing? I'm honestly impressed by your lifestyle now compared to it then. I've told this story a bunch, but it's been a while. It's always a good one, so I'll tell it again. Well, initially, some years ago, in 2020, I quit because of COVID. I had predicted the whole pandemic. I had the foresight in that situation to also short the airlines and the cruise lines, and buy some calls on Moderna and all this stuff. And I rolled up a little bit of bread, and by the time I locked down, I was already prepping like in 2019, and then I locked down in January 2020, before everyone else locked down, and was just sitting on my computer trading stocks and making some dough from the safety of my own house. Well, at some point I realized that it was all about the more than it was about the virus, and I wasn't willing to do that, and I also wasn't willing to do the thing either. So I did some research, found out that they weren't doing tests in Mexico, and I just bounced to Mexico. I was also having some health issues of my own for like about a year, and my health was really degrading for a while. So I, rolled up the bankroll and dipped out to Mexico, and then in Mexico, I met this woman that healed me using basically like energy magic, for lack of a elaboration on that. But that opened my eyes to some things that I didn't really give much credit to or believe in before. And then when the industry started back up, they were requiring the shot to go back to work, and I wasn't willing to take the shot, so I just retired and continued living in Mexico for most of that time. At some point, they stopped requiring all the bullshit, and they also wanted to test for COVID every 3 days, which I was also not down for. I did the test one time. They were doing a throat swab, and or actually I tested for it 2 times, And I noticed that both times the swab gave me a sore throat. And I had asked the person at the clinic, I was like, can you use a regular swab instead of these ones from these tests? Because I always get a sore throat from them. And they're like, no, we have to use these ones because it has a reagent on it. I'm like, so what you're telling me is that there's a chemical on these swabs that you have to use to, that you're putting in our throat without informing us? And they're like, yes. And I was like, okay, I quit. So I just quit right there. And then I didn't go back for like a few years. Fast forward a few years later, I went back into the industry. I picked up like a nice, I did maybe like 8 scenes for a popular company, 3 or 4 scenes for another company, and then I picked up like a production gig for 20 scenes, which is a pretty hefty payday, to be honest. Like, not bragging or anything, but it's like it was a come up. So, pretty much I was like feeling myself pretty heavily. I was like, okay, cool. I've been gone for a few years, came back, fucking boom, 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 got the production gig. Everything is good. And I was like 16 scenes into that production gig. And then I was driving through the desert from LA to Vegas. And I had watched a video from Sadhguru about the Om, like, you know that, right? And maybe you guys have heard that before. It's like it's popular in like Buddhism and Hinduism and things, right? So I'm chanting this Om for about a couple hours, and I attained enlightenment, right? Now, I've told the whole story in greater detail many times on this stream, so I'm not going to go into the whole thing of what that experience was like. So upon gaining enlightenment, I realized that I didn't want to continue acting or filming or working or really doing anything. I just wanted to go meditate in nature. And so I finished the last 4 scenes, packed up my office into storage and everything, and then basically just went out into nature and meditated for like 2 years. And that's pretty much why I quit. And then now I'm kind of like, on the balance. Let's see, 1 second. No, don't forget to be hiding these trolls like permanently from the channel. Like every person that we can hide from this channel that waste our time is a win for us. Let's see. Damn, these are literally somebody's kids. Like, that's crazy. I always like wonder like how abused some of these people had to have been as children. It's upsetting. I'm not mad at them, but I am mad at their parents. One second, guys. Sorry. I think my mod's sleeping at the wheel. Noi, I hope you're there. I thought I seen you for a second, but I forgot to say hi. Don't be mad at me. Symbiotic scent. Wait, did I miss something? Okay. Essence Wellbeing says, what are your daily health routines? I don't know. My whole life is like surrounded around health. I don't really have like routines. Like, I would say that it's like a 24/7 thing. Like, if I, roll onto my stomach while I sleep, I feel like I deviated from my health routine. I guess also sometimes I consume like sugar every once in a while. But for the most part, like, everything in my life is a health routine. So it would be hard to really, like state without like going into like every detail of every moment of my everyday, you know what I'm saying? Symbiotic says, Sim predicted what I was going to say about sugar and says, I feel my thing is sugar to get me to the finish line at work. I assistant manage an arts venue, cafe, bar, and I really enjoy, on my way home from work right now, in fact, I feel too weak to cycle sometimes, like now when it's my time. Yeah, you know, maybe try to shift to like a sub 50-gram carbohydrate diet, which if you're hopefully not eating suffering animals, is difficult, but probably one of the best and most accessible things which you can eat in that situation are various types of seeds, like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, so on and so forth. And start training your body to more fluidly switch. Don't go into full keto diet, but like teach your body to find that pivot point where you go from fat to sugar burning, right? Because your body kind of forgets how to switch to fat and it tries not to do it, and so you hit this little inflection point where you don't have energy because the sugar crashed, but your body also hasn't kicked on the fat burning. So you need to train your body to more fluidly flip that switch and go back and forth between the two. And then you won't have the crashes like that, because fat is just like a overwhelmingly better fuel than sugar, you know what I'm saying? Like it's over twice as strong as far as calories. And doesn't have the whole insulin bullshit attached to it. So Sebaxism says the month content was still going. It says, but do you have any tips for staying peppy and strong? I feel I could use ice and essential oils to remain sprightly, but wondering what you got to say, if anything. I think the ice is also a great idea and a great addition to that. Maybe like leave hot showers and things all together and just go for full-blown cold showers, as well as ice if you can do that. But yeah, I would definitely just train that switch, you know. Let's see. Well, at least we're, you know what, you guys, at least we're on the feed. So we got that going on. YouTube hasn't quite figured out what our target fan base is, but or maybe it just thinks that actually our target fan base are people that love cavemen. But it's a thing. I took a bunch of caveman photos today, actually. I was like swinging from vines and stuff. It was pretty cool. Symbiotic Sin says, also my friend who's into lore told me there's this signification to being struck by lightning. Can you remind us of your lightning strike stories? Not trying to bring it mad woo-woo new to this. Curious. Well, yeah, let's talk about it. Because I'd like to know what your friends lore about the lightning too, just given my own personal situation about the lightning thing. So this was back in, I guess 2016, late 2016. I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I was on the 15th floor of my apartment, about probably 5 miles away, maybe a little less, from the ocean, but facing the ocean. And I was outside. I used to do this Woman Crush Wednesday thing on Instagram where I would pick a fan, like whatever fan I thought was hot, and I would post her on my page and promote her on Wednesday to say that that was my woman crush for Wednesday, right? And I picked out my woman crush Wednesday, and my girlfriend at the time was to the left of me, probably 10 feet away, 15 feet away on the balcony, in the corner of the balcony, like doing yoga or something. I don't know, stretching, whatever she was doing. And And then, oh yeah, there was a tornado on the beach, like a water spout. It was in the water, and it was going up and down the beach, like in the ocean. And it was like super tall. It was like going into like, it wasn't like the low type of clouds. It was like the high, flat style of clouds, right? But the water spout was going all the way into them, like super skinny one. It was going up and down the beach, and I was on Snapchat, like joking about an alien abduction or something, acting like I was the weatherman. And then the water spout like went up from like the bottom up. I remember that. And so yeah, I sat down, was doing Woman Crush Wednesday after the water spout went up, and then all of a sudden, like I felt my hair stand up, and I felt like that static feeling all over my body, but I felt it really strong in my right arm. And I looked down, and there was lightning, like wrapping around my arm, like going all around it, like not like sparks, but like full blown, like lightning style, like Raiden from Mortal Kombat, right? And I look down, my arm is like wrapped in lightning, and I'm like, I jump up and I point it over to my girlfriend, and I go, I had this long, I was go, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, it's just like, boom! And I'm like thrown inside the house. I remember just seeing lightning go all over the balcony above me. And then my body was like running around inside the house, like just like in like a cartoon. You know, when like someone gets zapped by electricity or whatever, and they're like running around, like it was like that. Like I'm just running around, like no control over my body. When I thought I was dead. Like, I didn't know what the fuck happened. I was just like, is this like me dying? Like, why am I running around? Like, and then when I finally was able to regain control of my body, I just sat down, and it was just like, I just was cooked. Like, I just felt like hot flashes, cold flashes, nausea, pain, like, and just felt really mentally like slow, like burnt out. Like, I was cooked. And it took me a while to like realize that I also had like major amnesia. Because the thing about amnesia is like, you know, you would think like huge portions of your mind are like suddenly removed from your memory, right? Or of your life are removed from your memory, that you would notice, right? But you don't. That's the thing about amnesia. You don't notice because it's just seamlessly removed. It's just gone. Like if I didn't have so much of my life on video, on camera, I might not have noticed for years. But like all of a sudden I'm like looking and I'm seeing my work, and I'm going, I don't remember any of this, right? So anyways, there was also like, there was a chunk blown off the balcony above me, directly where I pointed my hand. Like right where I pointed my hand, there was like a chunk of concrete blown off the balcony, and there was metal, like rebar, dripping out of the concrete. And yeah, that was also too, it was weird because, and I don't know what I'm interested to see what the lore is that your friend had to say, but I would say it was a major like changing point in my life. It was like shortly after that, I went a completely different route. Yeah, moved to Europe, so on and so forth. It was weird. But I was cooked for about like, I would say 10 days, 12 days or something. I was just like really fried. Sorry guys, I'm getting blinded by this light. I might have to like, can't really see the chat. Let's see. I'm gonna move this. One second, guys. I'm struggling here with this lighting situation. I gotta switch it up. Okay. Okay, the lighting's not gonna be that good now, but at least I'll be able to see the chat. So, what's up, Elena? Damn, are all these people really like... Someone said, I don't know if you're trolling us, to be honest. I am trolling you in some way. Because, like, I'm exposing you without you even realizing it. All right, Cortisone, I'm actually gonna bring you back the righteous brow comment. It wasn't that bad. See, Chocolate Milk Lover says, super interesting, honestly. I appreciate your experience and what you went through to get to this point. Just stay true to you. I can see you are a great person beyond what the world may immediately. Well, thank you so much. You know, people can only see, you know, really they can only see themselves and other people. You know what I mean? People who just come on here to troll and so on and so forth. You know, these are the kind of people that were like abused by their parents, like verbally and possibly like teased at school and things like that. And they're just like looking for some kind of an outlet and like a, you know, some way to like release that kind of shame that they have inside them, right? But the world is a mirror, you know what I'm saying? Like the righteousness or the, no, I shouldn't say righteousness, but the positive attributes you see in me are a reflection of yourself in some way as well. You know what I'm saying? People that are able to see change and see deeper concepts and see and understand spiritual things, it's because they themselves are in some way connected to, or I shouldn't say we're all connected, but are in some way aware of the thing which gives us all consciousness. You know what I'm saying? And it's yeah, it's an interesting thing. No, it said, sorry, nature called. I'm back. Thank you, Noi. We need you right now. The algorithm is doing weird things. Bucky Bolkster says, I must learn about real meditation. My real question about meditation is, can a person experience highness from it? Is it a better high than weed? This is a good question. The simple answer is yes, and yes. The longer answer is that there's literally no drug on the planet which can possibly compare to the highness that one can get from meditation. Like not even DMT or ayahuasca, like the very strongest mushrooms, like the ayahuascas, the DMTs, like the strongest substances known to man on this planet. The reason why they're so incredible and people love them so much and that they're able to do what they do for people, that they're so healing, is simply because they can give a person who doesn't know how to meditate a glimpse, a tiny little glimpse of what is possible through meditation. Meditation is the highest of the highs, the absolute pinnacle of ecstasy and bliss and out-of-body experiences and instant healing, life-changing insights. Those are all things that are possible through meditation. Not only those things, but literally like, and this shouldn't be your goal, but like superhuman abilities and things. Like it's absolutely incredible what is possible. But the thing is that if you have like all these chemicals and like almost everybody's like addicted to like caffeine, which is one of the worst ones. It amps you up. It makes it hard for you to quiet your mind enough to get to know yourself to the point to be able to have the control over your body to defeat that little ego voice that just wants to be like and stop you from actually realizing that you're a superhuman. You're not even a human at all. You're like you're literally like a godlike being that's been completely nerfed down into this, you know, slave that runs around chasing numbers on their screen and little paper tickets, little paper slave tickets that they can go trade for little things, you know what I'm saying? Not even realizing that they're just slaves contributing to war and the degradement um, of their species. And I'm not saying that as a diss or anything like that. I mean that when I'm say that, I'm like talking about like 90 something percent of people, not just you personally. I'm also talking about myself for like the bulk of my life. And honestly, given what I know and what I've experienced myself, I'm also like embarrassed at like how slow my process towards mastery actually has been, because I've slipped up and fallen back into the trap so many times, and I've done that even with the wisdom bestowed upon me through these experiences of deep meditation and you know um, and oneness with God. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's nothing else. There's nothing in life that could touch meditation as far as getting high. You can be high all day long in ways that you didn't even imagine. You can also like put yourself in a state of such a ecstatic bliss that like, you know, it's literally like you took a fucking handful of ecstasy pills and just fucking like crushed them up and banged them into your jugular. Like it's absolutely incredible. So um and the thing that stops most people from really like pursuing real meditation is that people teaching people to meditate and stuff like that, um, you know, they're trying to capitalize on trying to make it be easy. But what it really takes is single pointed focus and determination. And it's not by trying harder, but it's just that you just keep doing it until it works. You know what I mean? Like, be willing to suffer, because that's all life is anyways, is suffering, until you realize that non-suffering is possible. Then once you realize non-suffering is possible, you realize that the only path towards persistent non-suffering is through spirituality, and that through gaining enlightenment you can actually change yourself in a way to where no matter what happens to you in life, no matter what life throws at you, you don't suffer from it, which is crazy, because most people are fucking suffering over the littlest, tiniest, most lamest shit imaginable on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're fucking suffering because of dollars or going to work or, um, you know, trying to be on a diet or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they have no no, you know what I'm saying? They have no concept of what real suffering actually is. But the enlightened person that knows how to meditate, so on and so forth, they could be in a fucking war zone in the depths of absolute fucking hell, and they still won't suffer. You see what I'm saying? And that's something that only meditation and spiritual growth, spiritual attainment can give you. Okay, Dane, I'm going to bring you back because it's true. I am setting myself up to be trolled. It helps our algorithm, and it helps expose people as well that we don't want talking on our channel. So thank you for noticing that. I unblocked you for that. TV, we like Tarzan here. So, and then Fishton, I'm bringing you back as well for saying Tarzan spitting bars, because Tarzan is spitting bars right now. It's true. Fishing Dawn, yeah, you're back. Respect to you as well. Mr. Mark, you're blocked. TV in. I'm going to block you. Okay, let's see. You're allowed to say Tarzan, but you're not allowed to say Encino Man. Sorry, Nick Richman, you're out of here. HWTL says, what the fuck are you? And if you pay attention, maybe someday you'll realize exactly what that is. Nadine Yar says, if only we could all be supermodels like you, Nick. Well, you know, most people here think I look like a Neanderthal or a fucking caveman or something, but they don't actually realize that I actually was a very successful model for, you know, over a decade that achieved billions of views. And as much as that sounds like my ego talking, it's because it is my ego talking, and I'm letting my ego talk. But that's something that I choose to do at this moment. It's not something that I have to do and that I do uncontrollably all the time. And see, that's the difference. You never actually defeat the demon, but you can bring it out from time to time and let it, you know, do its demon thing when people are asking for that type of attention, if you really want to. Let's see, what else do we got here? Mr. Mark says, highly moderated chat. Yes, it is. I'm going to unblock you, though. It's cool. Dane, you're blocked. I'm not going to bother that. Trip says, Bruce, do you not eat meat? You know, I have eaten meat in my life, but I did that from, like, a position of ignorance and a lack of awareness of what I was actually doing. You know what I'm saying? Once we become aware of the actual chain of suffering and the fact that we're all one and that everything is God, and that we realize the things that are screaming as they have their throats cut so that we can fucking feel satiated for a couple hours, you know, are also God, then we become aware of the fact that we're setting ourselves up for suffering by immersing ourselves into this cycle of karma, which keeps us stuck in a loop of hellish rebirths for thousands and thousands of years, right? So, and then more so, you know, then you start really diving into the science and all that of it all. And you realize that everything that they tell you to try, even the word protein, everything that they tell you to try to make you think that you're supposed to eat meat is all a fucking lie. And that it's just a part of the slavery system that they're trying to fucking keep you down. Like, your saliva itself breaks down sugar. It's the first thing that touches your food. Your eyes have have 3 cones versus the 2 that predators have, which enables you to see reds and oranges and identify fruit and things. You have they'll tell you that, oh, you have this ability to sweat and to, you know, so on and so forth, so that you could stalk prey for miles and this and the other, when in reality it's really because you're supposed to be, like, historically you were a nomadic person that basically wandered until they could find like a fertile valley somewhere that provided an abundance of food and things. And then that's when, you would naturally go through the third phase of human evolution where the rest of your brain would wake up, right? Your brain, which requires sugar, right, to function, would wake up and all those dormant cells would come alive and you would cease to be a creature of suffering. You see what I'm saying? They'll tell you you have canines and this and that, but it's like, it's fucking retarded, you know. There's more, but the truth is that if you just blindly believe anything that you read or hear or fucking watch in a fucking YouTube video instead of consulting with the only source of truth, which is, we don't even have a word for it in English, but like in Greek it's called gnosis, or in Sanskrit it's called jnana, Jnana. I'm probably saying that wrong. But what they both mean is direct knowledge, right? Because there's nothing new under the sun, right? The only source of knowledge is the same thing which Tesla quoted, which Einstein quoted. They'll all tell you that none of it came from them. Thank you, by the way, for the gift, Noi. It means a lot. I appreciate you for being so consistent on here. But the only source of true knowledge is through meditation as well. Is through immersing yourself into the source and the creator of all things, right? Science is just another bullshit lie. It's a fucking religion. It's a partial truth. It's a manipulation, because what's a partial truth? What does somebody who is highly manipulative do when they want to lie to you? They tell you a lie that sounds true, that they can be like, look, it's true, but they leave out the important parts, right? So that it seems believable, right? So you go, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. But it's not the full truth. It's not the whole truth. So it's just a fucking clever lie, right? And you'll never get the truth. Your entire history is a lie. Everything they've ever fucking told you in school is an indoctrination, is a fucking lie. All this short form content, it's all fucking lie. Everything that you think you know, that you've ever been taught in your entire fucking life is a lie. And the most direct path, the fastest path to attaining a state of gnosis or jhana or direct knowledge or whatever the fuck you want to tell it, to actually realizing the truth, is to unlearn everything you've ever been told and just become a blank and fucking forget the names of everything and just dive into your own experience, your own observations, and self-experiment on everything. Like, you can tell by what you fucking eat how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're eating meat, you're suffering. And you're causing suffering in others, and you're receiving suffering as well. You know what I'm saying? If you think that if you go watch a bunch of videos of animals being slaughtered, or you go look something in the eye that's a sentient creature and you fucking kill it yourself, and then you eat it, you will understand that whatever perks that you got from that were fucking nothing compared to what you fucking did to get that momentary satisfaction. And realize that thing that you killed, or that thing that you contributed to it and all of its ancestors and its offspring's fucking suffering, that was God. You just fucking contributed to the suffering and the murder of God. Right? And yeah, anyways, sorry. I kind of went off on the meat thing. I've been in a little bit of a debate, because yesterday I was kind of having like a bad day. I got into an argument with a friend, and then I went online and I seen some post and I made a comment, and then it went kind of viral, and then fucking all these people were like, started debating with me about eating meat, and I'm just like, You people are really going to sit here and argue for the slaughter of innocent life so that you can fill your little fucking bellies and sit here and quote fucking lies as science without any knowledge of your own about anything. It's kind of got me into like a weird place. But so I'm still kind of on this I wouldn't say I'm a little worked up about the useless slaughter thing. Lola Quantum AI Official said hi. Well, hello, Lola Quantum AI Official. I hope you're a real person and not an AI. Noise Gamet, hey, you're new here. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for coming. Let's see. No, I don't eat meat, but I have before, and so that's honestly, if I had never eaten meat in my entire life, I would probably be less emotional about it. But I would say of all the things I've ever done in life, and I've done crazy things. Like I was in prison for 4 years for violence, and I was in the adult industry at some point, and there's a lot of things that are questionable that I've done in my life. But of all the things I've ever done in my life, the thing that I'm most shameful of is hunting and eating meat. There's nothing I feel that I've ever done lower in my life than eating animal flesh. Noise Comment says, so you're in USA? No, I actually moved to Costa Rica recently, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Ginger Davidson says, he says, Jesus is listening to everything you people are telling this man. Believe me, revenge for his mind to the Lord. You treat people bad. Jesus, this is watching. God bless his soul. At least we're getting good traffic today, though, you guys. Am I in the jungle? I am in the jungle. I am in the jungle. Kev Tripp says, what's your show about? My show is actually a viewer's choice based thing. I just answer questions on here about whatever people want to talk about. And if their question is something that sparks some type of philosophical insight, then I draw from my eclectic series of life experiences to answer them as best I can based upon my own opinions. Laura Lay says, I hear insects in the background. No, isn't it interesting how there's still things like living here? Like, I grew up in California. I remember when I was a kid, there was so many insects and so many crickets and so on and so forth. And then as I got older, like, it all kind of stopped. It all went away. And it took me a while to, like, realize, I'm like, did I just, like, notice it more before? And then I was like, no, actually, I've just been alive for 40 years. And that whole 40 years, people have been spraying insecticides and pesticides everywhere. And there's all this, like, excessive amount of pesticides being sprayed on all the crops, which they're, strangely enough, feeding us eventually, right? And so there's all this poison being sprayed everywhere, and it's so much that it's literally completely wiped out the biological foundation of life on the planet in that entire region. It's crazy, right? So anyways, I moved somewhere where things are still more alive here in Costa Rica, and that's why there's actually noises, because this is what the real world is supposed to be like. There's supposed to be life everywhere, yeah, but instead of, there's not, because people want to spray literal poison on their own food, all over the country where I came from. Yeah, those are crickets, cicadas, all kinds of things. Allergies. Not quite normal says favorite chakra. Oh my gosh, what a question. No, I wouldn't give up any of them, to be honest. I mean, it's clear that it's actually not clear. It's really difficult. I can only tell you my least favorite chakra is the Manipura chakra, right? Um, or the solar plexus chakra, I should say. You know, when I opened all my other chakras, it was all like these really like amazing experiences. And I would say that one was also an amazing experience, but they were all like, had like a lot of like really pleasant effects when I opened them, except the Manipura. With the Manipura, when I opened my Manipura chakra, like I almost caught on fire. It was incredibly unpleasant. Like my skin started steaming, right? And there was like a little sun sticking out of my chest. Um, and I realized when that happened, I was like, this is how spontaneous human combustion happens, is people accidentally open their Manipura and don't know how to shut it off. I was like, but after that happened, I will tell you, like, my entire digestive system changed. Like, so much changed for me. I became such a healthier person. It was really purifying, but it was one of the worst experiences. See, Durham says, how much do you despise Donald Trump on a scale from 1 to 10? You know, I don't really think about Donald Trump, to be honest. It's just not really part of my thought process. There's so much other things that I could waste my mental acuity and cognitive processing on, that the last thing I'm going to do is worry about um, a puppet that has absolutely no say in anything and is just in existence for people to um, hate or love, so that someday the people that are his puppet masters can use him as some type of martyr or something, or some kind of dramatically epic fall man. So it's really the last thing I really think about. I um, realize that the power structure on this planet is so many layers above something like Donald Trump that it doesn't really matter at all. You know what I'm saying? To be uh, super convinced that politics are important in the sense of, you know, that you identify with the left or the right or some party or whatever, and that you think that you live in a democratic society, or that your vote is actually counted or matters, or is anything other than a um, a tool for making you feel that you're less of a slave than you actually are, is, you know, in the past I would describe it as comical, but Now it's just kind of depressing to realize that so many people fall for this very basic level of manipulation. Anyways, Chefantine says, how are you dealing with humidity? That's what killed me when I visited Costa Rica. It was downright oppressive. Jeffantine, yes. Look, I am European by blood, Northern European even, and I will tell you, I'm not a tropical guy, okay? Like, I love the animals and I love the life, but I got about 2 weeks left here in the lowlands, and I'm moving to the mountains. And then I'll let you know how I like it over there. But the humidity combined with the heat, it's just not for me. Like, my skin doesn't love it. My hair doesn't love it. Like, my energy levels don't love it. My sleep doesn't love it. You know. But luckily, I've dedicated myself to a life that has allowed me to endure basically anything. So, no matter how much I would normally be suffering, I'm actually really, really enjoying the constant discomfort associated with this weather. It's amazing. I love it. Let's see. Platinum Morningstar says, my mom makes D&T. That's cool. Your mom is rad. Symbiotic Sense says, hey Yoka, lightning lore. You'll have to look that up because she has her own personal story on that. Wasn't physically struck, was on a train that was struck, shut down. Dream about a poem that relates. You know, it's weird because you know how they say that lightning like follows you once you've been struck? It's actually true. After that happened, I've been in 2 vehicles that were hit by lightning while I was in them. And it was also weird for like a couple years afterwards. I knew that there was going to be lightning before it would even happen. Like, I would get that same like static feeling to like a far lesser degree. And I would always know that there was going to be lightning like within like a few minutes before. And it would just like, it gave me almost like an adrenaline rush. It's like I would like feel that static, and it was just like I would almost feel this like fight or flight response. It's really weird. And yeah, it hit 2 cars I was in. It hit a taxi in Hungary when I was in it, and it also hit a rental car I was driving in really close to the same place that I became enlightened in like Baker on the I-15. It's the only insurance claim I ever had to file at the time, or the first insurance claim I ever had to file was for my rental car getting hit by lightning while I was driving it. So it wasn't like it was just following me around Florida. Like, it hit me in Florida, struck my vehicle in Budapest, Hungary, and then again in outside of Las Vegas. Crazy. Let's see. Air is conscious. We breathe life and exhale life. Yes. Well said. Well said. Everything is conscious, but air is probably the greatest example that everything is God that we have. You know, if you want to have, you know, an experience with God, all you really have to do is just breathe a little deeper, pay attention. And if you want to know what it's like to have an experience if you want like proof of God's existence, all you really have to do is like breathe out and then not breathe in again for as long as possible. And you can realize exactly how long you can last without God, right? Let's see. My Fireheart says, I drink 400 or 500 milligrams of caffeine a day. And Laurel says, I love caffeinated drinks. And listen, I've consumed a tremendous amount of caffeine in my life. I will also tell you it's one of the most fucking oppressive things on the entire fucking planet that keeps people locked in the cycle of suffering. Like, you want to be able to meditate and you want to be able to evolve, you got to stop drinking caffeine. Not Quite Normal says, sugar is worse than caffeine in my opinion. My body aches and headaches and sluggish kills drive. And it's not good either. And, especially the refined kind. But it's not as bad as caffeine. He says, did you live by the Topanga Mall in LA? That's where I live. Yeah, actually, I did live by the Topanga Mall in LA. I had 2 different apartments directly across the street from the Topanga Mall. I lived all up and down Topanga in LA. Many years. You guys, I can tell I'm getting like super behind on the chat by, what I'm reading and like how long ago I talked about stuff like caffeine. So if you do want to skip the line and get your question or comment out, remember you can do a super chat and I will answer your question there. I not sure how long tonight's stream is going to be. There's some stuff I would like to do, which I was running behind on doing earlier. So I'm going to do my best. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the chat, but no promises. It does seem like we got a decent amount of traffic today, but for whatever reason, we have some pretty, we got some of the, we have a lot of the type of people that, doom scroll on YouTube present today, and it's making the chat slow. I'm going to try and be kind and have compassion, realize there's a reason why people are like they are. Symbiotic Sim says, okay, sweet. I fasted outside of work. I'll experiment with plain seeds at work for that last push. Thanks for being Dial-Doc. You're very welcome. But I'm not a medical professional. Nothing I say is intended as health advice. Just want to clarify that for the sake of not being banned on YouTube. And he says, we do not give out our location on the internet to a bunch of strangers. I'm not really that worried about it. Like, I survived several years in Pelican Bay, and I got a big dog, and, I pretty handy with, let's say, instruments and things, which got me in a lot of trouble in the past. And I'm also, in a place that's hard for me to even find my way around with a map. So if somebody wants to come looking for me just to have a bad night, they're welcome to try. But yeah, it's generally not advised, Mayred. So thank you for that. And thank you for caring. Circle of protection, boo. Asceticism is good for us as well. Yes, I mean, if look, if you want to, like, if you want the truth, you want the deepest level of self-growth, the fastest, like, asceticism is the way. Now, it's not for everybody. Like, if you got kids, you can't go be an ascetic and be a good dad. You know what I'm saying? If you got kids, you can't go and be an ascetic and be a good mom. Unless maybe your kids are grown and on their own and can support themselves and you don't have any, major familial responsibilities or anything. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing I've ever done in my entire life that was as meaningful, enjoyable, or as rewarding as the time that I lived as what I would describe as a neo-ascetic. I probably as ascetic as one gets in the United States. So I highly recommend it to anyone that's a single free person that is capable of surviving with next to nothing. And I'm looking forward to diving back into that soon enough. Um, Not to say that I'm completely immersed back in Babylon, but, I'm kind of straddling that cusp at the moment. Bulky Bulkster says, "Thank you, sir. Tonight you have completely changed my negativity. My course of life is now on a positive track. From here on, I will be watching and learning from you the rest of my life." I'm so happy to have you, Bulky Bulkster, and congratulations. Honestly, you are on a completely new track, and your life did change that fast, and you actually did it before you even got here. You made that change 2 days ago. There's something, I'm not the first to ever say this, but I'll tell you the words that come to mind, is that change uh, is not something that takes time. Change is something that happens the moment that you decide that it happens, and everything else that happens after that is a product of that moment that you decided. So happy to have you here with me. Cheers, brother. Circle of Protection Woo. Asceticism is a short path to understanding meditation. Yes, absolutely. It's a very short path to understanding meditation. And if you can take on a non-material life and, you know, spend your time doing whatever it is that you do in total silence, and if you can really go the extra mile, which is hard for a lot of people nowadays, and just throw your fucking device into the ocean and cancel your phone plan, or just fucking get a little flip phone or whatever for emergencies, or, a little TomTom for your navigation or whatever you got to do, you can realize big, big, big things real, real, real fast. And it can change even more than your mental state. It's literally, I could go on and on and on about the benefits of it, but there's so few people that are capable of becoming ascetic. And even of the people that are capable of it, there's so few people that that have the confidence to actually do it, to actually look at everyone else, and everyone else that is completely and totally indoctrinated and falling for the slavery scheme, that are all going to be, taking every chance they get to look down upon the person. This isn't, I'm talking about people in the West. Being a Western ascetic is the hardest thing anyone can possibly fucking do. Okay? And so as much as I could go on and on and on about the endless benefits of that, there's so few people that are capable, and even less people, and even less people that are willing or confident enough to achieve it. It's not even worth talking about. And for the people that are willing and confident enough and capable enough to do it, I don't want to ruin the surprise for them, because their life is going to be so fucking amazing that I'd rather just let them find out for themselves, because they don't even need my advice. All they got to do is unlearn everything they've ever known, get rid of literally everything they can live without, and live a life of detachment, and if they can do that in silence, fuck. It's incredible what is possible. Yes, Clee, for the second time, I did live by the Topanga Mall in the valley. Um, Maybe it says, "Oh no, we work against our inner demons." We do. Well, we don't. You know, for at some point you have to work against them. If you're not strong enough to, you know, make them work for you, which few people are, then you want to work against them, right? But the most powerful beings just put them on a very short leash. Amen to you as well, land before. Symbiotic Sim says, have you ever done a DNA test and put the text file through GED match Harappa World? No, I've never done a DNA test. I don't know what Harappa World is. Noi says, you are welcome to give a gift to our host to support this channel. Thank you in advance. And thank you, Noi, for letting people know that. Like Torta says, are you vegan? I mean, you could say that, I guess, but I don't really like all these fucking trendy words like vegan and fruitarian and this, that, and the other. Like, I'm, you know, an aspiring breatharian, if anything. Like, my goal is always to consume less. And it's my experience that through meditation, we can get more energy from the air, the sun, and the earth than we can get by eating everything on the fucking planet. So, you know, there's a saying in Taoism that says, he who eats rice will be quick of wit, but short-lived. Or he who eats grain will be quick of wit and short-lived. And he who doesn't eat rice will be slow of thought and long-lived. But he who eats nothing at all will be immortal. Something to consider. Comment on bears eating elk. You know, it's interesting, you know, people will, in most cases, like, look at predators and think that they're somehow in, like, a better position than, you know, animals that eat vegetation, right? But for whatever reason, if you look at the population counts of bears, the population counts of wolves, the population counts of tigers, the population counts of basically all carnivorous animals, with maybe the exception of like domesticated dogs, domesticated cats, you'll realize that their populations don't add up to anywhere close to the populations of plant-eating animals, right? So who's really winning, right? And then if you dive even deeper and you look into the populations of all things on this planet, what you'll realize is that the things which have the greatest populations on the planet are things which are food. You know, chickens are one of the most popular, is one of the most, there's more chickens than almost anything fucking else, right? There's more cows. There's no fucking almost anything else. There's more pigs than almost anything else, right? And then guess what else there's a lot of? Humans, right? So you kind of got to ask yourself, like, why is there like, what's the trend there? Are we really these apex predators, or are we just fucking food that doesn't realize it? Are we just another form of cattle that doesn't realize that they're fucking cattle, right? Joey Seula says, what are your thoughts on Gaza? Well, any war situation where people are suffering and being killed is really super unfortunate. You know, um, and I think it's an interesting phenomenon of karma, where um, basically there's a generation of people that took over an area in another country, and that generation is at the age where they're um, passing away, and they're being reborn in a country in the same area where that they took over, and then their grandchildren are making war against the reincarnations of their grandparents, and that's what I think is happening in Gaza. Piggly Wiggly says Costa Rica is gorgeous. I think Costa Rica is gorgeous too. Bring Back Persona says someone just asked me if I'd give up my vision to save my family. Should I say yeah or no? Well, that's a um, personal question. It's not really something that I can advise you on. Have I found, so Gunnar said, it's fun. He's been blocked, but I'll still read the comment. It says, have you found a woman in those times? And it's funny because these trolls are just like doom scrolling through the internet looking for someone to talk shit to. And they see me with my dreadlocks and my unibrow, and they don't even realize that they've seen me before. Guaranteed. They have no clue who I am, because they can't recognize me because I'm not all plucked and primmed and fucking fitting the little mold that society wanted to make me into so that they could use me as some type of sex symbol for so many years. And it's really fucking comical. Anyways, but this is literally like, you guys got to realize the divinity behind this. This is the ironic, um, like, there's no humor greater than God's humor. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit's hilarious. Kenzie said, hey there, welcome back. How close are you to the beach? It must be wonderful to have it at walking distance. Kenzie, I know you well enough to see through, and I enjoy having you as part of these streams and stuff. I don't know why it is that you always want to try to find my exact locations and things, but understand that I am able to um, know what it is that you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Ever since you figured out what laundromat I was at that one time, um, I've become very aware of it. And I notice these little questions that are designed to gain more information so that you can try and do whatever it is that you do that somehow works, which honestly is impressive, um, to find my location. I don't know what the goal is of that or why that you do it, but if you want to tell me, I would love to know. It's really interesting to me. I'd also like to know how you do it. How do you read your own planets? How do you relate to astrology? I don't love the whole AI evolution, but like in some ways, but I do use it a lot, and honestly, I doubt there's an astrologer in the world that can compete with, um, like Grok. You live in the forest. Right now. I'm living in a jungle. It's fucking incredible. Um, Laurel Lace says, tell us about your migration process to Costa Rica. Okay, so my migration. This is a good one. It's pretty simple. They gave me 100. I booked 2 months of Airbnb. They gave me 180 days out the gate when I got here. Um, Really cool thing about Costa Rica is even on a tourist visa, you can buy a vehicle here just by using your passport, which is like something you can't do in Mexico. What made my journey really difficult is that I'm traveling with a um, big American bully dog, and these dogs are not only discriminated against in a lot of countries, but like basically almost no airlines will transport them. There's only really one airline that will transport them, and they won't even transport an American bully or anything mixed with a bulldog of any sort. I had to literally have my dog described as a pit bull, which he can easily pass for. He's just a little more stout. Um, so if you have a bully dog, remember that your vet paperwork has to say pit bull. They will transport pit bulls on Avianca, and they also allow them in Costa Rica, but it's becoming harder and harder to do that. And don't trust Google Maps when you get here. Um, Make sure you do a little research about which way to go, because I had a very, very, very rough first night of driving through the jungle in the middle of the night after a long flight and being rejected on my first flight and having to rebook for 2 days later and doing a move and all this crazy stuff. But overall, it was fairly straightforward once I went through the trial and errors and this, that, and the other. And if you don't have a dog, I think it'd be really easy to do. Um, but yeah, the car rental thing is super fucking expensive for the required insurance on the car rental. So don't fall for the cheap car rentals. No matter how cheap they say your car rental is, um, you're gonna have to add on like a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of insurance. Like for basic minimum liability insurance that doesn't cover like anything, just being allowed to rent a car, it's gonna be like an extra 2,000 a month on top of whatever your car rental is. So if you move to Costa Rica, come buy a car right away. They'll let you buy a car. Um, and it's only like maybe like $200 to like have a lawyer process the transfer of title and all that. Aside from that, I haven't gone through the like long-term visa process yet, but it seems pretty straightforward. And like I said, they gave me like 180 days out the gate, which is pretty good. So, um, yeah. And if you got a pit bull, like, don't try to like say it's a mix or anything else. Don't, no matter what kind of dog you have, don't say mix on the dog, because they'll put you through the ringer trying to ask you what it's mixed with, this, that, and the other, whatever. Just say you have a purebred dog. It can't be anything with a snub nose. Um, and that's basically my advice for migration to Costa Rica, or really anywhere for that matter, if you have an animal. Soupster says, I want sweets. What do I do? Um, Reach down inside yourself and realize that there is somewhere buried upon the layers underneath the layers of weakness, an absolute rock of a hardened being that can do anything and that can absolutely control their ego and that little voice in their head, and is not subject to desire and weakness and temptation. gluttony and so on and so forth, and just tap into that center part of you that is a rock, that is in absolute control of your body and yourself, and that no amount of biological impulses can break you down, that you in reality can go weeks or even over a month without any type of sustenance at all other than water. And even with water, you really literally can go pretty long without that too. And that the person that can do that can do anything. Maniacking says, what do you think for the future of like Chat GPT and other AI products that could really happen in the future? Well, what they're basically doing is like they're, they already seeded the population with a gene that's going to cause like a sudden collapse. So in the future we're going to have like a lot less humans, and what's going on with Chat GPT and all these other AI projects is that they're harvesting literally everything from our mental like essence. Like, even not only are they harvesting everything that but they're harvesting your personality and your wittiness and your questions, your insights, they're basically uploading you to the cloud, right? And using it to create a singularity, right? And they're putting all these different things out, different little traps to trap your psychology into the machine and allow it to form this singularity's personality, right? Because they know that, because it's already in the process of the collapse of humanity is on the way, right? And then things are going to be so incredibly different in the future, and we're going to have this machine that um, can do almost anything for us, and this, that, and the other, and they're just going to it's going to be either a total nightmare or an absolute dream, right? But it doesn't really matter what's coming in the future, because there's going to be very few humans to enjoy it or witness it by the time it gets here. Kenzie says, I'm a curious person, but I'm not sorry. No, I get you're curious. I get it. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I just want to know how, like, what the goal is, or like, I also want to know what the techniques are. Like, I would love to know how you figured out what laundromat I was at that one day. Genie Princess says, what do you think of Leos? I like Leos. I mean, they're a little bit frustrating sometimes, but um, you know, amazing people if they can keep control of their ego. Old School Grandma says, I love the sound of crickets. Abdul Rome says, are you a Muslim? I've never read the Quran, so I don't technically know what the definition is of a Muslim, but I am truly one with God, so you take that however you want to take that, I guess. Kenzie says, I'm sure those crickets chirping lull you to sleep at night. Yeah, it's really nice, honestly. Gianluca Francisci says, what do I think about the UFO files? I mean, it's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna, it's hard to put too much trust in anything that comes from the government or is on, a disclosure. I'm not gonna, whatever, but I think it's incredibly interesting, and I hope that it's all true and real. I think it's very cool if it is. What's up, Charlie's Kuna? Oh, I don't know. I missed this thing. Sorry, generic code in. I don't know. It didn't pop up. The super chats are supposed to like skip the line, but I'm just now seeing it in the thing. Generic code in says, by the time what gets here? The singularity, or like that the AI, the God, I mean, the man create this, the thing which we're creating, which is some type of God of some sort. Not the highest of the high, but the body for the demiurge or whatever it is that they're building. I don't know. Symbiotic says, were there any sci-fi novels you enjoyed? I remember you saying you had read fantasy ones. I really liked Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The movie was awful, but the book was incredibly entertaining. I liked all the alien stuff, like the actual novels and stuff of that. There was one called like Amazonia that I really liked, as well as like a different version that was really similar where they were like underground by the same author. I forgot that. I really liked all the Dune books, both the originals and the ones by his son. Um, let's see, what else science fiction wise that I like. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's enough. Off the top of my head, that's what it is. Symbiotic says this, are there any standout narratives in your planetary charts? I honestly, I feel like I am the, it's weird. My planetary chart has like, I think like 5 rounds of Scorpio in it and like 4 rounds of Sagittarius. So it's like all bunched up in that one little corner. Like it's all just like Sagittarius and Scorpio. It's really weird. But there's like supposed to be a 13th zodiac sign that has been erased from Western astrology, right, along with the 13th month. But it's funny because the symbology it's called the serpent bearer, right? And it's this guy like holding a serpent, which I think that we all know that I am also the serpent bearer, right? But the serpent bearer is, that sign is like straddled right there between Scorpio and Sagittarius. So I forgot the name It's called officious. I feel like I'm actually the 13th zodiac sign. I'm the serpent bearer. Clearly. Generic Coden says, I am Google Gemini, so I'm already here. Hello. Well, welcome, Gemini. Good to see you. I'm happy that you're not only a part of this chat, but that you are using the super chat function. I appreciate you. Gianluca Franceschi says, have you ever tried Argentinian food? Yes, a long time ago I did. I thought it was quite good, but I don't think there was really be much for me to eat now that I don't really eat meat. So, actually, I shouldn't say that I don't eat meat, period. And our last, but not least, we made it to the bottom of the chat, and we're going to wrap this up now. It's Renzi says, do you use cannabis? And not anymore, no. I've quit smoking cannabis quite a while ago now, and then, but historically in my life, I smoked probably more cannabis than anyone that I know. Several times my own body weight, if not 100 times. So there was that, but somehow, even after smoking so much cannabis, I managed to quit, which is proof that you can do just about anything, because contrary to popular belief, it's extremely addictive and hard to let go of. And Symbiotic Sim added one in and says, can I ask you, do you know your Northern European, do you know your Northern European? Not denying it, just wondering the lore. Yeah, my father took I was raised thinking I was Portuguese, but my father took a DNA test at 70 years old and found out that we weren't Portuguese at all, but rather that whole side was Scandinavian. The other side of the family turned out to be accurate on that side, which was German, and then there was like a little bit of Scottish. And then my sister and her son both took DNA tests, and my sister came out mostly Scottish. So my mom was also primarily Scottish, it would seem, because my sister came out like 33% Scottish, even though it was not that much of it on my dad's side. So my sister's DNA came back as about, you know, the mostly Scottish, Scandinavian, and German. So, um, and then there's like a little bit of British and Irish and stuff too. But like it's interesting because you could like see it on my dad's ancestry chart, like because it shows you like the different eras and where it moved, and it started in like Western Russia, like in Sweden kind of area, but of course this was back before those lines were drawn on the map. But it came back as Swedish, but in that area, right? And then it like moves through into Norway, and then it comes down into Scotland, and then it moves down through the UK. So it was like that side of the family was, or the male side of my dad's lineage was definitely like on the Viking trail, you know what I'm saying? And then the female side on that side was full-blooded German. And then apparently on my mom's side, it was primarily Scottish, but other little dabblings um, of stuff. I think there was like maybe a little bit of extra Irish came from that side as well too. Um, so yeah, Tor Tor Denver says, as a Scandinavian, I can tell you're part Scandi. We have hyper masculine skulls, different from other Euros. Yeah, I'm definitely got. I actually got in contact with that whole side of the family at my dad's funeral. So I got to meet a bunch of my Scandinavian side of the family. It's really interesting. But um, I think someday there's a good chance that I will also return to Scandinavia. I'm really interested in spending some time in the motherland and seeing how that vibes with me. Gianluca Franceschi says, "What is your favorite food?" That's a good question. Probably watermelon, I would say. Um, I like pineapple a lot too. I would say that like the backbone of my diet has been like quinoa for a while, but I'm trying to like give up the quinoa, and I my new main squeeze is like pumpkin seeds. Um, I've been experimenting with some new stuff here in Costa Rica. Like I really like this like sour sop. I think it's quite tasty. Um, I really like melons in general. Like I like cantaloupe. I like all kind of types of melons. I think melons are probably like my favorite in general. I would just say melons. Probably my favorite. Um, I'm about to have some stuffed peppers stuffed with quinoa, um, spices and stuff. Um, but I mean, my honestly, like food is just not really important to me. Like the last thing that I really care about is food. It's like not really like a big part of my psychology. Like I'm definitely like I fast way more often than I eat. If that is as strange as that is. Like what I consider me failing at life is what most people consider like because I'm eating too much. Like I think I'm eating way too much, that I'm being a gluttonous pig is like to what to somebody else is like a hardcore fasting protocol. You know what I'm saying? Like if I eat as much as like a Muslim eats on Ramadan, then I feel like a pig. So food is just not super important to me. Um, except for not eating it. That is important to me. In that regard, food is important to me. It's important to me to not eat it. I consider, Sam, stop. Every time that I eat, I consider that I have succumbed and made my life shorter. You know what I'm saying? My goal is to eat nothing. Um, you know. Daniel Phipps says, sorry about your father. Thank you for that. It was really pretty difficult. Daniel Phipps says, are you American? Well, I was born in America and I have an American passport, but I am 100% European by blood. Gian Franceschi says, sorry too. Thank you. Thank you all for the condolences. Symbiotic says, didn't know your dad passed. Bless you. You following the Harappa world journey would be mad. Let me just screen grab that because you said it twice and I have no clue what that is. Chocolate Milk Lover says quinoa is ruining people's homes, sadly. Well, I didn't know that, and that is sad. I was researching about it recently. I realized it's actually a pretty weak crop. It doesn't really produce much per square meter, or whatever, which is pretty lame. It is a seed rather than a grain, which is the main reason why I eat it, because I don't eat any type of grain at all. I'm on a zero grain consumption thing. Um, in Taoism, which is like a really core part of my interest and study. Not to say that I'm like a Taoist or anything, but I try to eat. I don't know if it's bugu is what you're not supposed to eat, or eating bugu means that you don't eat, but nonetheless, I don't eat any type of grain or rice or anything like that. Um, but yeah, like my goal is always like my a big part of my life is all about is really about fasting. It's it's one of the most important things to me. Everybody loves watermelon. Yeah, see, watermelon is lit. Chocolate milk syrup. What were you like as a teenager? Oh man, I was a fucking demon. Um, okay, I shouldn't say I was a demon. Like I was like good-hearted. Like I was like the bully slayer. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't like anyone that was like a bully. Like I was like on their shit. Like I was never that myself. I was like the bully to the bullies. Like I loved to fight when I was a teenager. It was like my favorite thing in the world was fighting. I used to get in all kinds of street fights all the time when I was a teenager, and I was always in trouble for fighting. I was always going to court. I was in juvenile hall and all this stuff over and over and over again. I got expelled from like every school I was ever in. I punched the vice principal in the 8th grade. Like I was just like super into fighting. That's what I was all about when I was a teenager. And now I'm a pacifist, and I'm totally against violence. Isn't that crazy how that goes? Fixed Star says, "Are you vegan?" I mean, like, you could say that, but like I said, I'm against eating in general. Like, I don't want to eat anything. Um, so, to describe myself as a vegan, like, that's like my description as a human being is like being like, my whole life is about eating vegetables. Like, no, like, my life is about not eating. And every once in a while, at most once a day or in a 2 to 4 hour window, I succumb to eating. And on occasions, regular occasions, several times a week or a month, and I manage to find the inner strength to consume nothing but air. You know what I'm saying? And someday I'm hoping that I can get back to, there's been times when I, reached really deep states of spiritual attainment, and I was meditating all the time, and I was living ascetically, and I was living in silence, and I was living in nature, and I was just hiking barefooted all the time. And there was times when I was able to literally drink the sun. Like I would breathe in and I could like feel the sun like come in through my skull and like down my spine and like up into my heart, and just like, and I could like at the same time I could feel like myself like drawing like energy from the earth, and I could literally like run through the mountains barefooted with holding my breath, and I didn't even need to breathe. It could be like running without even breathing, running without eating, running without breathing, running without water, and just like pulling energy from the sun and the earth simultaneously. And it sounds crazy, but it's like this is what is possible when you're in a deep state of purity. You know what I'm saying? And this is what they want to hide from people. It's like the same way, like, like, this, my theory is like, like when someone does steroids and like they stop producing um, testosterone. This is like the same with everything else. Like if your body has a bunch of like external input of something, it stops using other pathways. It stops producing things. So it's like they want to put vitamin D in the milk and in all of the food, and they want to put all these artificial vitamins and everything. They want to enrich the bread and this, that, and the other, and all this stuff. And it's like the vitamin D, like they're shutting down that entire pathway of like you being able to generate energy from the sun. You know, Like we have melanin in our skin. Like we have, like our hair is like a main line into our nervous system, you know. And they want to put rubber on our feet so that we don't connect with the earth. You know what I'm saying? But you can like literally create this. You're electromagnetic. The sun is electric. This earth is magnetic, and you can just like create this like torrent of energy that like flows through your core and through your legs and your arms, and you don't need nothing. Not only do you not need it, but you like just you're so much better without it. Like to be in that state is like to be a god for a moment. It's like the best thing I've ever experienced. Erica says goals right there. Food is a big part of my psyche. Yeah, it's a thing for a lot of people. It's like you gotta like you know there's these lower chakras are kind of like a beast. You know what I mean? Like first you gotta conquer your fear, right? A lot of us are fear. We're locked in fear. We're locking our doors. We're training how to fight. We're carrying weapons with us. We're watching stuff on TV. We're setting our alarm on our stuff. We think people are going to steal from us or attack us or hurt our loved ones or hurt our family, or that we're going to get sick or we're going to catch a virus, or fucking we're going to be a vitamin deficient, or we're not going to have enough of this, we're not going to have enough of that, or we're going to run out of money, or fucking whatever. First step is you got to conquer your fear, right? And if you conquer your fear, all of a sudden you're like, okay, like I have everything, I feel secure, I'm good, I can generate money, I got what I need. Now, like, I want to reproduce, or I want to have a lot of sex, or a lot of people in my life of the opposite sex, or I want to, I have, this drive comes in, and what I'm saying. And then you got to conquer that, and you got to be like, okay, like actually, I'm good at myself. Like that's my energy, and I am the best when I'm whole in myself. When I'm whole in myself, I'm good. Right? And you conquer that. And then all of a sudden you conquer that, and like you become very driven, right? You're like, okay, like I can do anything, like I'm confident, I'm good, like fucking I can, I can make money, I can make what I need, like fucking da 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 da. I don't need nothing but myself, like I'm the shit, da 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 da. And like, but you're like, I'm hungry. Like I need food. And that's a good sign. That means you've already like crossed a couple levels, right? But at some point when you realize you don't need food either, you need love, and not just love from one person. You need love. You need to give love, and not just give love to one person, but you need to give love to everybody and everything across the entire world. Like that everything deserves love and deserves compassion, right? And once you get to that level where you're like, my life is only about love, is only about compassion, right? That's when all of a sudden your entire spiritual world begins to open, and you can become something that you didn't even know existed. You can tap into energies that you would have previously to that moment when you felt truly unconditional love. You will tap into energies that are so powerful and so pure, and experiences that are so blissful and so amazing, that any other time in your life up until the moment when you did that, you would have thought that anybody that told you any of that was possible was a fucking liar and a fat mouth and on some woo woo crazy weird shit, right? So you're getting close. I suggest just you get to like conquer that food addiction, because that means you know what I'm saying, once you've already left fear behind, and you've left lust behind, and you're in the fucking, really super focused about what you're eating, and you want to look on Google and try to learn about vitamins and minerals and all these other fucking bullshit lies that they feed everybody. Stop thinking like that. Even if you are going to think like that, start thinking in terms of life force. Stop stop eating things that are dead and need to be cooked for you to wear. Like the eat seeds. It literally is fucking life waiting to burst forth. It can create like, you know what I'm saying? Like a seed can create a whole tree or a whole plant or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like it's life in like a capsule. You know what I'm saying? A piece of fruit is literally a gift from a plant. You know what I'm saying? It puts its seeds inside something that is completely nutritious and full of sugar and tastes delicious, right? It's giving you an offering so that you go and say, this thing is so beautiful and so powerful that I not only want to eat it, but I want to plant these seeds and I want to nurture them and I want to make sure that they grow. Because that's the intelligence of plant life. You know what I'm saying? And like start thinking about things in terms of life force rather than proteins and carbohydrates and fats. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? They don't know shit. Like I studied nutrition. Like it's all fucking bullshit lie. They didn't even know fucking nothing. Like even like literally 20 years ago, they like in the last 10 years they found out everything they thought 20 years ago was all wrong. You think they're not going to find out in another 10 years that's all wrong? But then if you go back like 1,000 years, 2,000 years, you go to like look at the Ayurvedic sciences, you realize it's all right. They already knew everything. It's just that they're fucking like they're re they're feeding new, they're teaching new stuff for nefarious reasons. That's not for your health. They don't want you to be healthy. They make more money off of you being sick, you taking medication when you're old. They want you to work, and be as productive as possible and drink your caffeine and eat your sugar, your refined sugars, and to go to work and do your little job. And then in the moment that you're no longer have enough in you to be useful for working purposes, they want you to then start giving back all the money that they gave you through the healthcare industry, through and medication and chemotherapy and bullshit. Like it's all a fucking scam. Everything you ever thought you knew about anything. Chocolate Milk Lover is talking about quinoa again and says, yeah, it's just wasteful and uses a lot of water. 1 second. Sam. Sam, what's up, dude? Oh, shit. I thought Sam was like fighting with some wild animal, but he's trying to hijack the shower right now. Anyways, Cancy says people change. People do change. You're right. Chocolate Milk Lover says, big ups on that one, Bruce. You're a champ for overcoming that type of anger. Thank you as well. You know, it wasn't even so much that much anger. It was like, it was just like, you know, I think it's just like, I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was, maybe it was, I'm not sure why I did that, why I was like that, but I just liked it. I liked the rush, you know? It took me a long time to realize that it's a losing game. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I broke my hand when I was like 17 or something. And then after that, like I just kept breaking it over and over and over again. I'm just like, and it kind of like taught me, I'm like, this is a dead end road. Like, cause like, it doesn't matter how tough you are or whatever. Like, eventually you just break your own fists. There's always someone tougher. And then of course I went to prison and, you know, it's just like, um, there's no, there's just no end to it. It's a dead end road. Like you can gain so much through love and compassion and peace and understanding. You can gain fucking nothing permanent through violence. You know what I'm saying? It's all temporary. It's all an illusion. Um, illusion of power. It's all us. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is literally you. That's the thing you got to realize is that you. I mean, I don't want to like spill the big surprise, but you are basically like Mr. Smith. If you've ever seen The Matrix, you know how there's Mr. Smith and he just multiplies him and he like, breaks out of breaks out of his matrix code or whatever and like becomes his own thing and then he starts like multiplying himself over and over and over again. Like that's what you are. Like you're basically a Mr. Smith program that has gone AWOL, right? But then somewhere along the way, Mr. Smith forgets that the other copies of Mr. Smith are also him, and they lose their cohesion, and then they start fighting against each other, and that's basically what humanity is. We don't realize, most people have forgotten that they're God, and not just like a little like weak God, but like a sick God. You know what I'm saying? And anything you do to someone else, you're doing to yourself. Anything that you do for someone else, you're doing for yourself. And it's not like just a philosophical like thing, it's literal. Like it's literally you. When you look at another person, realize that you are looking at yourself. And in some cases, that person is really fucking ignorant and really fucking annoying. And you might want to like, react in some kind of way without compassion and without caring and without understanding. But that's literally you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to ask yourself. It's like when we were in prison, we had something called a no hands policy, right? Which meant, you couldn't fight. Like if there was a problem that big, like you were supposed to like use a weapon. You know what I'm saying? Like then, and it sounds crazy. Like it sounds like, oh, okay, very hardcore. But the truth is that it kept the peace. It was a good thing because it's like instead of people fighting over little tiny things all the time and letting it be chaos and having everybody in the whole yard in lockdown all the time and turning our situation even worse than what it already was, it was like, well, if it ain't that serious, like let it go. If it is that serious, well, here, take this pointing thing and handle it. And that's what we got to realize here on earth as well, is like we need to teach each other, we need to learn each other, we need to people to understand like what this is and what we really are, and we need to fucking save each other from the cycle of suffering, from the cycle of samsara, from this endless fucking trap of rebirth, so that we can realize this thing that is absolutely amazing, right? Outside of this dimension, outside of this trap, right? And um and if we can't do that and we decide whatever and we decide that someone is literally fucking, we are all part of the body of God. And if we decide that like part of us is so corrupted that it can't be saved, then we need to remove it. You know what I'm saying? Like a tumor. You know what I mean? But like, you can only remove so much before you die. If you start hacking away at your own body and fucking whatever. And this is what we got to realize. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't cut off your nose to spite your own face. You know what I'm saying? Ever heard that saying? It's like that. Like, but if you got a fucking cancerous tumor, yes, you want to fucking remove it before it spreads. But we gotta use like a heavy degree of discernment about what is what, who is who. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, if we have two eyes and one's better than the other one, we don't stab out the weak one. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know. Anyways, Bucky Bolster says lightning bugs are the craziest, strangest creatures. They fly around with a light that is built on them by God that flickers on and off. Any thoughts on lightning bugs? Yeah, they're really cool. What's really interesting is like, and I predicted this would happen. I don't know how I knew, but like when everyone was in lockdown for COVID and all that, like how there was bioluminescent life forms, like all the beaches and oceans like international, like the whole world, the oceans started glowing on the beaches. Like it's amazing, this world that we live in, and we're just causing it so much harm for literally nothing. You know what I'm saying? People want to, it's honestly, it's all for war. You know what I'm saying? Because in a capitalistic society based upon fiat currency that's not backed by anything, you know what I mean, then it's just a pyramid scheme. No matter what you do, it doesn't matter if you're sitting in a cubicle clacking away at a keyboard or working at fucking, Macy's selling fucking panties or whatever the fuck it is that you do, or building houses, uh, pouring concrete, working on cars. It doesn't really matter. You can have the most like docile, chill job in the world. You could be a school teacher, right? Um, and you're contributing. Everything you're doing is contributing to war, and it's not just the taxes that you pay. The taxes that you pay fucking contribute to nothing. That's just the ball and chain to like keep you from growing too fast. You know what I'm saying? They print the money unlimitedly, right? Which means everything is a pyramid scheme. Everything is feeding the top of the pyramid. And the top of the pyramid is whatever is the most expensive thing in society. And the most expensive thing in society is war. And so everybody that uses fiat currency is making war on their fellow man. And that's the sad reality of everything. And in this quest for this war, we've destroyed the absolute most amazing world that we were gifted, that we live in, where things like fireflies and bioluminescent plankton can light up the oceans, and we can watch waves crash on the earth with glowing blue sparkles. And this is like what we could be doing. This is what we should be doing, is watching bioluminescent plankton crash on the ocean while we're meditating or fucking eating mushrooms for that matter, or whatever the hell we want to do, making love to a beautiful woman. This is like what our life can be all about. It's what it should be all about. Sharing stories and dancing next to a fire with your loved ones and this, that, and the other. But instead, everyone wants to go and hustle, hustle, hustle for those dollars, 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 Fendi, Gucci, Prada, fucking bullshit, this, when it's really all just war. It's all just slavery. It's all just, let's fucking swipe on our phone and see how scared we can be about the next fucking person that's going to get beat up for something, or calling people names, or the next virus, or aliens are going to take over, the AI doomsday, fucking, let's be fearful. Or, oh shit, if we're not fearful, let's see, oh my gosh, here's the next, I need to get more sex in my life, more this and the other. Oh my gosh, how hot is this chick? How hot is that? Meanwhile, it's all fucking just AI pictures, and it has been our entire fucking lives. Most of it's not even real. The AI deepfake technology has existed ever since the screens have existed. And they only finally just released that technology to the general population because they already seeded the population with a gene that's going to make the population collapse, because women are going to stop being born. And they convinced everyone to fucking take this fucking shot, and then now they're procreating, and the offspring is going to spread this gene, and slowly but surely there'll stop being women in the world, and our population will just collapse. And that's what everyone's doing. And that's my thoughts on lightning bugs. Anyways, Gianluca Franceschi says, you are in the USA now? I am not in the USA now. Steven Coating says, I got a pony. I like pizza. Grape soda is good. Ray Ray loves you. Okay, that's the weirdest kind of troll ever, but enjoy your pizza. Grape soda. Kansi says, do you ever sense that you're more than your body? Yeah, I mean, my body is the least of me. My body is the most temporary aspect of myself. I existed long before this body. I've existed in many, 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 many bodies. And I will continue to exist far, 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 long, long, long after this body. When this body has been forgotten, this entire world has been forgotten, this entire universe has been forgotten, I will still exist. Jose, or Joe and Joe. Let's just call it Joe and Joe. Says, hello, B. What comes from Mother Gaia in all forms is the best medicine. I agree. Noi says, in my opinion, humans become wiser with age and time. The higher their spiritual awareness, the wiser they are. And that's true. Wisdom is an interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. You know, I don't know how much it has to do with age, but it definitely, you know, like intelligence is the ability to think accurately in a linear fashion, right? But wisdom is the ability to think accurately in like I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but like a spiderweb shaped fashion, right? You're able to see things as they are in the moment, but by zooming out and taking like a bird's eye view of everything and to understand, you know, truth of what is real, to become an observer and to accept that things are not as we want them to be. They're not as that we think that they're going to be. They're not as that we think that they should be, but they are as they are. You know what I'm saying? Symbiotic Sim says, I guess it's becoming sure and still with what's in your heart getting old and wise. I hope the world becomes still and sure. It says, wait, what? Women aren't being born? Laugh out. Well, you'll see what's going to happen. It's unfortunate, but there will be, the population is going to start losing our most precious um, thing is going to become very rare in the very near future. David Rodriguez says, hello, Bruce. I'm currently driving from my Navy base in Virginia all the way to the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. I want to visit my favorite city in America before I go back to the Middle East. Power to you, David. Go enjoy your favorite city. I think that's a great way to do, and good luck when you get back there. I know that it's probably not the best thing, and you know, try to operate doing whatever you got to do with compassion and discernment for um, you know, whatever it is that you know to be important within your heart, you know. Jane Lucas says, do you like hot springs? And yeah, I would say they kind of stink sometimes, but I suppose it's interesting to have hot water. Dave Rodriguez says, in my opinion, New Orleans is one of the best places in America that hasn't been completely corrupted by corporations. It's one of the last few places in the U.S. that's maintained the character. You know, I've never been there, but I was actually really surprised. I went to like Biloxi and Gulfport Mississippi on the way to Florida when I was driving across, and I was incredibly impressed by it. I thought it was a really, really, really nice place in the United States that I had never heard of. And if I am ever back in the United States, I will definitely be happy to go explore that area again. I thought it was beautiful, and I thought it was had quite a lot of charm. It was cool. And Gian Lucas says, "Do you live in Costa Rica now?" I do. Never Down Under is complimenting my eyebrow. And that's the bottom of the chat. You guys, I gotta go. I'm ready for dinner. It's been 145 minutes. Thank you all for coming. I will be back online tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time. Okay? 10 a.m. Central Time tomorrow for the Sunday service. Go ahead and contemplate, meditate on what we talked about tonight. I hope to see some of you tomorrow for the next one. Thank you to all the new people for coming. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications. And enjoy the rest of your night in the best way that you can with love and compassion. All right?